welcome to the Building One Story at a Time podcast.
We're your hosts. I'm Katie Herbine.
And I'm Stephanie LaChance.
Today, we are diving into our design process when we are designing for clients. So this is like specific to you.
Yep. This is all about you, your needs, your lifestyle, your design style, your personalization preferences. And what is the best way, or how do we get to know this from our buyers?
We call them.
It's that simple. Or you might be lucky enough to also attend an open house event, which we hold once a week, every Wednesday night, 5 to 7. We ask that you do register for those ahead of time. So they're 1 hour time slots, 5 to 6 or 6 to 7.
Oh, yeah. But aside from the open house, once you're under contract officially, you can come to the open house even if you're not under contract. Just register. But when you're under contract, the first thing we're going to do is start with a welcome call where we really just want to get to know you because design is so personal. And so we really need to understand your lifestyle. How do you use your house? So we generally will start out with some questions about your lifestyle and your household.
Exactly.
Who lives in the house? What ages are they? Do you have pets? What do you currently like about the house that you're living in? And what are some of those pain points? Because in your new home, we're hopefully going to alleviate those pain points. And if we know what they are, we can either design around them or kind of help you to make some different like kind of changes or selections that could help too.
Exactly. Yep. Then we kind of transition to talking about your kitchen and cooking preferences. So this is great for us to kind of understand like maybe which kitchen package to recommend based on which appliances you use the most. You know, are you doing a lot of baking in the oven? Are you doing more so like cooking on the stove top, maybe searing, pan frying type of work? Or are you mostly like a microwave reheating warrior, reheating your takeout, reheating your meal preps from earlier in the week? Do you require 2 ovens in your kitchen? Or do you require a wall oven, maybe something that's a little bit more accessible than bending over and putting things in and out of the oven? You know, you still like to bake the big turkey on Thanksgiving, but bending over isn't so easy anymore. So these are some of the things that we'll ask you about. How many small appliances do you run in the kitchen? Do you use a toaster every day? Do you keep a coffee pot out on the counter? What are those small appliances that you do use every day, but you put away at the end of use? Maybe like a blender. Maybe you use a rice cooker a few times a week. Maybe you use an air fryer every other day. So these are things that are helpful for us to know because there's also like not just related to the appliances and the layout of your kitchen, but there's also some more functional things that can be done to your kitchen to make that kitchen work for you.
Like we'll definitely recommend as many drawers as you can possibly do because anything that rolls out to you is easier than bending down and searching through the back of something. So that's why we're asking all of these maybe intrusive questions if you're thinking of it of like, why do they care? But we care because we want to help you get the house that works the best for you. Do you do any type of specialty cooking? Are you using a lot of cast iron pans? Like if you're using heavy appliances, we want to make sure that you're not scratching up the top of an electric range. If you say, I love to cook on cast iron, well, you definitely want gas if you're cooking on cast iron. So just kind of those type of things. How often do you run the dishwasher? Because we might recommend a certain type of dishwasher for you based on I run it every day or I hand wash all my dishes. Okay, great. That transitions us into what type of sink do you like? Would you rather run a water bath for your hand washed dishes or do you like to kind of just rinse them all and wash them right away?
Put them right in the dishwasher. That's what I do. Simple rinse, put them right in the dishwasher.
Yep.
Back to kind of like the kitchen layout. Normally when the microwave is above the range, that microwave would be it would not be vented to the outside. It would just be a self-circulating unit. So that means that it kind of pulls the fumes and the steam from your cooking surface on the range below, and it kind of vents out through the front of the microwave. So over time, you may notice like a little bit of that filmy buildup on the cabinet above that microwave. Alternatively, if you do a lot of cooking now, maybe that's something you've experienced in your current place where you live and you're like, I definitely don't want that anymore, we could explore one of our kitchen packages, which would introduce a hood, entertainer package, culinary package. Both would have a vented either chimney style hood or under cabinet hood. But we also can just vent the microwave to the outside. So again, the microwave stays above the range, but then there's just a vent that extends to the ceiling. Cabinet would hide that vent. And then it's, again, pulling a lot of those fumes, that steam from your cooking surface all the way to the outside. And you're just going to get improved performance on that vent rather than having it pushed back into the room.
Mm-hmm. Plus, if you're saying, I really want that I want the kitchen to look like very industrial, or if that's something you're kind of aiming for, one of our kitchen packages could achieve that because they introduce different types of appliances.
You'll also get the stainless steel finish when you go to the entertainer or culinary.
And that GE profile dishwasher, baby.
Worth it. And stainless is such like a neutral nowadays. Like in design, it's been around for so long. I want to say stainless is going on like 20 plus years of being the go-to finish for kitchen appliances.
Oh, yeah.
We had like the almond, and then we had the white, and then black also had a very short moment. But stainless steel, I feel like, is here to stay.
It is. Oh, yeah, definitely it is. And then the next thing we kind of transition to after we've learned a little bit about how you like to use your kitchen is some of those design goals for that kitchen. Like what do you want that kitchen to look like? When you envision your cabinets, do you envision seeing wood grain on them, or would you like a more uniform, finished kind? Not that a would look unfinished, but more uniform where you're not seeing wood grain. Everything is the same color. That would kind of lean into if we're recommending a painted finished cabinet for you, or if we could stay with our kind of stained cabinetry. We'll also ask what colors are you drawn to? Are there colors you want to avoid? Like some people say, I absolutely love green, but I don't want any gray.
Yep. We also kind of ask you we usually like to talk about color on a scale from cool to warm. So cool being your more whites, grays, blues, and then warm being your more tan, beige, brown. And then there's also that in-between zone that exists like taupe or grayish. So we'll ask you, where do you tend to lean on that scale? And typically when Katie and I design, we don't recommend leaning too far in either direction. It certainly can be done. We've worked with buyers and that is their preference. But I'd say like our personal way we design, our creative process would be kind of pairing some of those tones together along that scale.
Definitely combining things like to create layers and different tones and not narrowing in too far into one. It's interesting that the grays have had their moment for so long that they're transitioning out, and people are kind of craving those warmer colors now.
Seeing a shift back into the beige family.
Yep, definitely. And then we'll also ask a little bit about kind of your aptitude for contrast. Do you like a little bit more contrast between your built-in elements, like those countertops in your kitchen and the cabinets, maybe even to the floor if you'd like a little bit more of a darker wood floor or something that's a little bit lighter? We'll try to learn all of those things about you so that before you even come into the design studio, we're preparing a design concept that we will present to you. So you won't be starting from zero. You'll be starting from a very well-designed interior space that you can then kind of explore, and you will not hurt our feelings if you say, I don't like that tile at all. That's fine.
In fact, that's helpful for us to know like your true feelings and opinions on the items we show you in the original design concept. But we have seen such a good response to the design concepts. Like just having like a baseline or a jumping off point, really, it makes it so much easier to start talking about colors for folks and like talking about their design opinions. And even if they maybe can't describe exactly what they don't like about something, at least they can tell us they don't like it. So we know we have to look at something else, right?
And it also helps having that starting point to have a color to relate back to. Like I like something that's a little bit lighter than that original cabinet that you had in, or I'm looking for something a little bit more gray than that original cabinet you had in, where you might not be able to articulate that from the outset, but comparing it to something that we've already designed with you in mind, is a little bit easier to kind of move through and move ahead, articulate what you like and what you don't like. Other kind of questions we'll ask you related to your design preferences is, how much detailing do you like on items? Are you looking for a little bit more of a sleek, clean, straight line, or do you like a little bit more detailing? That question really gives us so much insight into the types of cabinetry doors we would recommend for you, the faucet fixtures, the hardware, even your interior doors, what we would recommend for you, all is kind of influenced by how much detailing and how little detailing you'd really like in the house.
Absolutely. Yep. I think we also like to have or mention and ask you about, you might have mentioned this, but the amount of contrast for some of those built-in elements. So specifically cabinets, countertops, backsplash. We've seen such a huge movement toward this modern farmhouse, right? And at least me, when I think of modern farmhouse, I think about like a white cabinet, maybe a black tile or a black countertop, black hardware, black faucet, and maybe like an encaustic patterned backsplash, right? Like that very high contrast, white and black pattern together. So we'll kind of ask you, like, what are you open to? Like, are you also thinking of that high contrast, or do you want something that's more like similar tones of the same shade that still complement one another very nicely?
We'll ask if you're bringing along any furniture. Maybe you've just bought a really expensive bedroom set and you say, I don't want this to contrast with the floor, so I want to make sure that while you're designing, we're kind of thinking about this really cherry wood tone or whatever it happens to be. If there's an heirloom piece that really is meaningful to you, anything that you want to design around in the house, we would ask you to kind of describe that to us so that we can pull samples that we know will complement that and not be something that, like, down the road I have to refinish this piece from grandma because it doesn't match my floor.
We also like to ask if you're bringing a lot of your existing furniture, because we realize some people are actually planning to buy all new furniture because maybe they're upsizing their space or they're downsizing their space, and for whatever reason their pieces just no longer work. Maybe they've been hanging on to these pieces for years and years, and it's really just time for a refresh, new space, new furniture. We love it. But we will ask you that question and kind of figure out, do you have any of those pieces that we need to design around, or are we good to go? Just kind of like, maybe this is a new turning point for you, and this new home, you want to do something completely different from what you've had in the past. We also encounter that all the time. Yeah.
Another thing that you just said that made me think of, like, we'll ask, do you want this new house to be a reflection of the house you're currently living in? Like, if you currently have a very gray palette, is that something you're looking to continue, or is this a new type of design? Like, maybe that wasn't even the design that you picked out specifically, but you moved into the house and you never renovated or whatever, and now this is the time to make it your own. We can totally go in that direction. Oftentimes we'll ask to see photos either of pieces that you own. That would help us kind of understand. If you can't articulate, it would help us to kind of understand what your design style is and what those products would be that you'd be drawn to in the design studio.
And I think that one, sometimes people struggle with describing their design style. Sometimes I do as well, because like I mentioned in an earlier episode, my style is always changing. It's very fluid. And that's totally okay if you can't describe your style. We actually have a very helpful tool online if you want just the most basic kind of way to describe your style. Our Design Studio Style Quiz. It is available on our Design Studio website. So if you go to EGStoltzfushomes.com, navigate to the Design Studio tab along the top bar. From there is a drop down that will take you to the style quiz.
Yeah. And that's a great way if you wanted to have like a very kind of concrete, and you're not tied to that. But
certainly not.
Another way that we can design for you, if you can't articulate, maybe you don't say like, oh, I'm transitional or I'm farmhouse. What do you want to feel when you walk in the house? I want it to be calm and neutral. I want people to feel comfortable and cozy. I don't want it to be too formal, or I would really like it to feel formal. Those are kind of things that are going to help us decide what materials to show you as well.
Absolutely.
We'll also ask a little bit about your entertaining lifestyle, how often you plan to entertain at the house, and if you ask your guests to remove shoes when they come in the house, because we're looking to recommend an island size to you based on how many people will probably be congregating around that space. And then also what flooring material we would recommend for you based on if you have pets or young kids, or if you ask all of your guests to remove your shoes and you don't have pets and kids.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we always like to emphasize too, when it comes to like flooring, people like to ask us, well, how long will this floor last me? And, my answer is, well, how rough are you on your things, right? Because like, I know me, I know my lifestyle, I know my dogs, and we're all very rough on just about everything. I move very fast. I'm always moving. I've done stupid things before, like dropped a mug on the kitchen floor and the mug shattered and a piece of it went across the kitchen and chipped a cabinet, right? I mean, stuff like that can just happen, and it's kind of inevitable. But as long as you follow like manufacturers' recommendations for how to treat your floors, they're going to tell you what type of material to use to clean the floors. For engineered hardwood, we recommend Bona hardwood cleaning product. For luxury vinyl plank, we recommend Armstrong Once and Done product. All can be purchased basically like at Lowe's, Home Depot, online, from Amazon. Putting entryway mats so that when you come in with your shoes full of salt, it's snowy on the ground today as we're recording this, you come in, you're going to want to wipe your feet, remove your shoes, so it's kind of based on like your lifestyle and how willing and able are you to kind of treat your items with care moving forward.
We'll also ask relating to how you use spaces in your house. Do you need a dedicated space to work from home? We'll ask that question so that we can recommend electrical items to you. And then we'll also ask if you need any dedicated hobby spaces around the house. If you say, I'm definitely going to have this bedroom is going to be for only out-of-town guests, or XYZ, we're using this study as a playroom for now, or we're not really planning to use the dining room as a dining room. We'd actually like it to be a playroom for our kids. That'll help us make recommendations for flooring materials, light fixtures, so many things. So if there's anything that you think of, just tell us everything, because you never know what'll help us make a decision for you.
And speaking of like how you plan to use the spaces too, and especially like thinking of that work from home space or like another dedicated hobby room, we actually have a previous episode on electrical considerations where Katie and I kind of talk through things to think about and reasons you might want to add outlets or reasons you might want to add overhead lighting to certain rooms based on your lifestyle and what's going to be happening in those rooms. So be sure to go back and check out that episode as well.
Yeah, definitely. If you're one of those people that hearing it is easier to digest than reading it, listen to that episode. Yes. We're basically reading it to you. And then the very last kind of tie it all together, how we're going to work for you, we are here for you, is asking about your target investment range.
Yep. And your experience building too. Like, have you ever built a new home before? What was that experience like? What are kind of like some of the main things you think about when you go through the decision-making process? How are you with the decision-making process? Do you find that you're quick to make confident decisions, or do you prefer to contemplate decisions in due time? And we realize that a lot of decision-making is ultimately tied to investment level.
So we'll really ask about kind of what your target investment is for the final sale price. Do you have wiggle room on that? If there is something that we think you'll enjoy but might push you over that, would you want us to show you that? Kind of understanding that, because you're in charge of what you spend here. We're not here to just sell you things that you don't need. So
absolutely. But we do get excited about what we offer because
we love it all.
We offer some very nice options at the same time. Yeah. And we want to be sure that you know that these options are available to you as well, right? So we have the online tools, we have the catalog. But really the best way to know if you really need or want something is sometimes to see it in person.
And then where do you want to kind of focus? If you have, say, I have $20,000, I really want to focus it in on the kitchen. That's super helpful because we can table those other things or help to recommend things that you could potentially do in the future without too much of a headache, and things that you would definitely want to do right now in your new build.
Absolutely. I think we'll probably have a future episode on that.
Oh, yeah. I think so. That sounds like an episode to come. All right. Thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us.
Before we part, Katie, tell me, what is your absolute favorite sample we offer at the design studio right now?
I love the premium siding that we offer, the brandy wood. That color is just so unique. It's like a dark brown, but it has some like red undertones to it. I really, really would have, like, I think that would look so cool in an application.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What about you, Steph?
I'm going to follow your lead and pick another exterior sample. Do you know where I'm going? It's a new one. The pumice color stone. I just love saying the name too. Pumice.
It's so beautiful. It's like a very light rock that has some grays and some
kind of almost a beigey undertone to it.
Really, really pretty. And with our new off-white mortar.
Ooh, yes, chef's kiss. Like, it's definitely going to...
She said it while I did it. We didn't even plan that.
It's definitely going to brighten and lighten your exterior. I feel like for so long, like this is a new color from Quality Stone Veneer. For so long, our stones have been, just because of what our manufacturer offered, have been so dark. And this new pumice color is really going to I think it's going to start changing the streetscapes in our neighborhood.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's so true. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Thank you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.